It's 10 after 7 in the morning here in Victoriaville, Quebec, and welcome to the 2021 Big Iron Moto season. Today is the first day that I'm going to be racing this year. I'm here with some buddies from Ottawa, Andrew and Jamie, and we're heading over to Chainéland, which is just south of here, and it's going to be a practice FMSQ session, a sprint enduro format. And what that means is we're going to be doing a 6 or 7 kilometer track, and you're timed in and you're timed out as you come out. After that, you can probably go back to your truck or whatever it is, and you have to do 8 of these sprints. Now, I'm not sure exactly what the format is, but I presume it's going to be your best time or times, top 3, or maybe even a cumulative time of everything. And as I was driving here, I was trying to come up with ideas that might be helpful to you and even to me as a rider to figure out how I can make myself better at these races, more consistent. And I thought this format here of like a pre-op and post-op or post-mortem in some cases would be helpful for everyone. And because last year when I raced, there was a lot of lessons along the way that I learned and carry those over. But as you learn them, there are things that apply to everybody, and no matter how good you are or what class you're racing in, there's a lot of these little things that you pick up through experience that can really benefit your riding and racing. So for today, for example, I know it's going to be muddy. It's probably going to be fast. The track looks relatively flat. I don't know for sure, but that's what I'm seeing from the videos. And what I'm going to try and do today is 2 main things are the strategy. One is pace myself for the first sprint or 2. A lot of the mistakes I made last year was trying to charge on the first lap. And I got some really good advice last year from Connor Brogan, who said, you can easily lose a race on your first lap, but you won't win it. And that's really good advice because it's so easy to get caught up and charge, and then you end up off track or making a mistake and hurting yourself, and then the whole race you're just trying to play catch up. So fortunately with the Sprint Enduro, you can have that first run to sort of get a sense of what the track is all about. And then I'm hoping by the time I get to the 3rd or 4th section or test, I'm going to be pushing it as hard as I can, so that way I've got my fresh energy, I know the track, and then I've got a little bit of leeway if I need to try and make up for time in the following tests. The other thing I'm going to try and implement here that I learned from a few races last year and just, I guess, riding in general at muddy tracks is staying very far on my back wheel. Today I'm running an FC 350, and that is a track style Husqvarna 4-stroke. And I think that's going to be really good here in the mud today. But so I've left my 2-stroke at home, put the tires, which are studded, onto this bike because it is still winter. Well, it's spring now. It was the first day of spring the other day, but this is a studded race, and there are some sections with ice, and that's going to be its own unique adventure. So yeah, come with me. We're going to try and race here, and then after all this, I'm going to reflect on what I learned from the race and hopefully pass those lessons on to you. So let's get the 2021 season started for Big Iron Moto. And we're racing. This is the start of the Sprint Enduro. As you can see, we got a countdown, and then you head out into the farmer's field. This whole track that will go into the woods and come back out is about 6-7 kilometers, and we had to do it a total of 8 times, and every time they would check your time, and then the cumulative time is what your overall score is. So if you had a bad lap, it counted. This lap here is about the 4th one in, which was one of my better laps, and you'll see the entire lap is here. Coming into this really cool forest, coming around these trees. Things got quite tight here, and you can see with the snow, it made for some difficult ruts, and ruts are challenging on a good day, but when you're trying to also navigate snow, having some aggressive studs is a really important thing. And with the winter, you get in these unpredictable situations where it's a bit of ice, a bit of mud, a bit of water, and with riding in the summertime, you know that you're going to be able to basically plow through the mud, but in the winter, it's a lot more unpredictable. So I'm not going as fast as the bike certainly is capable of, and I'm not going as fast as I would be in the summertime, because my concern as I'm riding through this was sliding out and hitting a tree in these tight sections. It's just not a risk I was willing to take for the beginning of the season. So I'm trying to take it pretty easy here. And, I didn't go to this race to try and win. I mean, a win is always a nice thing, but we're starting into the season. I didn't want to injure myself as 7 hours away from home. So I'm trying to be as conservative as my brain lets me, because I tend to get ahead of myself a little bit. And that's part of the strategies that I'm trying to employ. As I was saying earlier, when you get into these races, it's easy to get caught up and want to go as fast as possible. And, that's good. You want to be going as fast as you're capable of. But in the first lap, it's an easy way to lose a race, because you can slide out. And you'll see it in another part of this video at the end, where I took some of the highlights from some of the other laps where I did actually crash. That's not a good thing. You lose a lot of time. And so here on this 4th lap, I've kind of got a groove for it now, and I know where the track is going. I know what to expect generally, and I'm just trying to keep it consistent. One thing I learned on this particular track is that when you combine mud and ice, even with the studs, it was very hard to find traction. So as you're coming around these corners, you're actually looking for ruts to dig into. And even though I'm trying to get up on the front of my bike, the back end would still fly out, because there isn't that much traction as you go to hit it. So you had to be really careful to try and keep your bike upright and And as you come into the straighter sections, I would be leaning way back to try and get all that weight to my back wheel. This here was a section that was really steep. It was all just pure ice almost. So you're braking in, coming around. That guy got stuck there. With a sprint enduro like this, when it's cumulative time, you really have to try and maintain your consistency. The nice thing about the sprint enduro, it's one of my favorite formats, is you can come back, check your time, and get a sense of how quick you're moving relative to others in your class. And that's part of the strategy as well, because I noticed when I was racing, I was holding a pretty good position in my class for a while. But as time went on, my ranking started to go down. And in retrospect, I think what I would do is wait a little bit longer rather than trying to hammer out laps. Get a sense of where others stand and whether or not you need to really ramp up your speed or not. Because by the time I got to the 6th or 7th test or lap of the 8, I just felt, well, I thought that I needed to maintain the same consistency, but I actually need to pick up the pace if I wanted to hold that ranking. So that's one of the strategies, but at the same time, you have to balance that on a track like this with it getting really rutted out. And I think in retrospect, what I would have done is either had one lap and then figured out the track and then waited for a lot of people to log their laps, or get them all done as quickly as possible while the track is still in really good shape. The problem with the beginning of the season, I just didn't have the energy to do it. I need to come back, and my arms were killing me after my first lap, and I should have warmed up more, and that's definitely a lesson that I forgot from last year, is the importance of warming up and getting in that, getting your blood flowing before you actually get out onto the track. That is really undervalued, and something I was doing a lot near the end of the season last year, but I didn't do as much as I should have for this particular race. This is a cool section. You're coming around and it's super muddy. Here, as you come into this mud, I just fired it because you got all the weight on the back wheel to try and get over that mud patch. And then you come down and go through this train car storage unit, and then you're back out onto the track here. And this is kind of the final stretch where you can really push it, and I'm putting all my weight onto my back wheel. But again, it's that balance of going fast, but also trying not to slide out, because it's so easy in the terrain like this. And that happened a couple times, and that's, again, something that I'm not sure what the answer is, but it just emphasized how important it is to be consistent on these things. You drop your bike once and you've gained 15-20 seconds, and you're not going to be able to catch up on a lap like that. And another thing that I learned with this race, because this is the first time I was racing a 4-stroke in an off-road series in the Sprint Enduro, this particular bike, if you stall a 4-stroke, it's fuel injected, so you have to start it back up. You got to wait for the fuel pump to prime, and that was a big problem. I stalled my bike at least 4 or 5 times, and that's something I need to be conscious of in the future. So here we are at the end.
Oh man, no, it was good. That was a good race. I enjoyed that a lot.
Guys enjoyed this video, And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. There's lots more to come this year. I'm really excited of where Big Iron Moto is going to go, and you can be part of that.